This is gamer time. Okay. Hello. My name is B Jump Up. If you don't know, I'm an animator, and while I animate, obviously I like a lot of background noise, just sort of stupid YouTube videos. So I'm contributing to that pool by showing off some comics from my comic or graphic novel collection. Excuse my chipped nail polish. It's not cute. Um First up, I think this was like a Christmas present. Um, and I've never been much of a Garfield girl. When I was like 12 or 13, I would get mad and sort of have these angsty moments with my parents, and my eyelids would lower, sort of like that. I would get sort of pissed off at the world. And they used to call me Garfield when I was mad like that. They'd go like, "Oh, she's gone full Garfield," which really just served to piss me off more. I think I've resented the orange fuck ever since. But no, I mean he's a fun cultural icon. I think he's got a fun design, but I didn't read a ton of Garfield growing up. I think a lot of the colored art in this specific book is maybe a little ugly. That gradient, I don't know. Um, there's him burping. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, much more of a Heathcliff kind of guy. This was just sort of an intro piece because it's like one of the comics, but I haven't really read through it. It's more of just it's Garfield. You put it on the shelf. I guess I wanted to start with what got me into comics in the first place, which was comics made about cartoons, like TV cartoons. When I was little, I was obsessed with Adventure Time and a lot of stuff coming out of Cartoon Network, and I got a lot of comics because of it. This was like, you know, I really enjoyed these comics because they all kind of still felt like stuff that could happen in universe, even if the art styles were off. They felt like real stories that were, or not even off. It was a fun sort of shift in art styles. It was just fun to see new stories in the show that I think had pretty much already concluded, or I think like Stakes was running when I first got in, or when I was like getting comics. Yeah, Stakes was running, and I remember that because probably like the first real graphic novels that I got was this. The Adventure Time 2015 Spooktacular. This is from Kaboom Comics, who did a lot of sort of Cartoon Network tie-in comics, I believe. Yeah, there, Over the Garden Wall, all that. And this is just a sort of fun Marceline story. I was very obsessed with Marceline as a child. Definitely the whole Marceline Ice King plotline was one of my favorite things going on in Adventure Time. And I had this book, which I freaking adored. It was like supposed to be Simon's. It's not really a graphic novel per se. It's more like Diary of a Wimpy Kid for weirdo toonhead freaks. But it's the idea was that it like started out as Simon Petrikoff's. That's like Ice King pre-insanity thing. It started off as his thing, his journal during like the post-apocalypse, and then he passed it on to Marceline. And it was just sort of fun to have a book from like the point of view of a badass teenage woman. There's a lot of just sort of books about nerds that I was reading at the time. At that young age. And I've never been much of a book person, but this was one of my favorite books the longest time. It turns out I was lying though, because definitely the first comic I ever got was this, the Simpsons comic, which this was another one where like, I was just, a lot of like jokes in here kind of, I remember them being part of the show. Like I'll remember them in my head, like they all just feel so real to the show. And then I'll remember, hold on, that's not from the show, that's from the comic. Like I full on just put real voices to all these characters, and it sort of wormed its way into my memory as if it was a Simpsons joke. But it's a Simpsons comic joke. Whole different thing. But yeah, I think it was a special time to be liking comics because all the, it turns out Cartoon Network had a bunch of people working on Adventure Time, and all the shows I was watching, they were all from comics, is what I hear these days. Which is very interesting. And, before I was making cartoons, I was making comics because I was thinking of them as like storyboards that I would animate one day. Which there is a difference between comics and storyboards. But yeah, I mean, I also had this. I also loved Steven Universe, but I remember not feeling super. That's a really pretty piece, though. Sorry for the camera quality. I remember just sort of thinking these stories in this one were a little middling. I think they were just sort of season 1 types where not much really happened. I remember it feeling a little more childish than the rest of the show. And when you're like at a certain age as a child and you deem something childish, it's like the worst thing possible. Like you're insecure of how young you are. And so you want to only read adult stuff. And so I guess I was like, no, this is too childish. Hand me the Fiona and Cake comic book. Now this is some real adult, mature content. I don't know. From there, one of my most sentimental childhood comics. I'm sorry, these are all sort of kind of young people, but I really got this as a birthday present from my older brother, Jacob. It's by Craig Thompson, who's like a legendary graphic novel author. And I believe I also got Goodbye Chunky Rice, but I can't find my copy of that, which is tragic because it's really good. But yeah, it's just this sort of beautifully detailed, illustrated. Can I hold it up to the? Just sort of beautiful, so much detail in every page, and it's just sort of this cool sci-fi children's adventure, which I'm sure can still be enjoyed by all ages. I should probably reread this. I think I got it for like my 13th or 12th birthday from my brother. And yeah, very sentimental to me. Sort of remember really enjoying this a lot and sort of lending it out to friends and saying they should read it, and they never really read it really, but I think one of them read it. From there is, sorry, I'm like, all my stuff is kind of scattered and I can't, From there is, these are old books by Brian Lee O'Malley, who you may know as the Scott Pilgrim guy. I got both of these, and I remember not really caring all that much for them. I think I was not at quite the right reading level for them when I read them. These are the black and white issues. And I just remember thinking, like, what, is it a video game world? Is it a real world? What the hell? And yeah, there was nothing that stood out too much to me about them. I haven't read them since. I probably should. But I'll wait to do that. I'm a bit of an annoying hipster where if something is currently popular, I'm a bitch about it, and I don't want to read it because of that, which is, maybe I should kill that tendency by just reading Scott Pilgrim. It's not that hard to do. But these two were ones that really interested me far more. They're way more kind of like, one thing I don't like about Scott Pilgrim is, maybe that's the point or whatever, but it's just sort of weird male fantasy fulfillment vibes, like from whenever I read it or watch the show, or watch the movie. I should rewatch the movie. But I just remember it always thinking, like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, you get the vibes. I think that's what it's going for, and it's kind of a commentary on that. So I don't know enough about it to speak about it, but it's just not currently for me. But maybe I'll get into Scott Pilgrim more. These ones I like way more, though. This is Seconds, which is sort of much more fun cast and designs, I think. It's basically about this lady who runs a restaurant and finds these magical mushrooms underneath her like floorboards that are able to like turn back time. and so she sort of gets addicted to turning back time and changing stuff. I believe there's like a bread makes you fat reference in here somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, like this, Lost at Sea. If I remember correctly, it's kind of just like a sort of young adult coming of age story of this girl who sort of is on this road trip with a bunch of people that she doesn't really know. She's trying to find herself. Yeah, I remember enjoying it a lot. I think it's fun. It's got some more fun characterization as well. Oh, I cannot pause. Continuing, there's Thieves, which I got recently at a comic book store, I think. That's just kind of a fun lesbian romance about this lady who's like a kleptomaniac. It's like their last year of high school. And the idea is that they've like stolen a bunch of stuff from people's house parties, and then they attend a bunch of house parties to try and give it all back. And I think it's very fun. I believe it's set in France, or it's like a French author. And it just has me very hopeful about young adulthood. I read it recently. It's a fun, very pretty, lovely character designs. Big fan of this style. Yes, very, very cutesy and a cozy read. From there is Where Black Stars Rise, which I haven't actually finished this one. I forgot about it. It's just this story about a therapist and their client or something, and there's some mystical stuff going on. It's sort of like, is this person seeing things, or is it real? I don't know. Very fun. I need to finish this. I forgot about it. Some more just fun ones. These are graphic novels in the loosest sense of the word. They're not really comics. This was the Super Mario Maker guidebook that came with the game for the Wii U, the first one. And I just like paging through this at times because there's something like some sort of fun thing that fires off in my brain when I see old Mario graphics. That's just it. They're very visually appealing to me. There's a scratch here. That's sad. And yeah, it's just sort of fun to see. It's a very nice, high quality book that came with the game. I think it's lovely. But then underneath that is the Undertale art book, which is also awesome. This one's way more interesting to page through. Just a lot of fun early insights into the development of the art behind the Undertale game, which is one of my favorite games. Undertale and Deltarune both alike. Very beloved games when it comes to me loving things. Just sort of a lot of stuff. Well, there's a lot of really cool early concept art by Temmie and others. You know, a lot of people say like, oh, Undertale was all made by one guy. And like, yeah, I think Toby did a lot of programming, but that does discount a lot of the visual work that a lot of other people did, which is sad. But I also really do like Toby's visual style. I like that a lot of it is done in MS Paint. I think like Frisk's character design is all like MS Paint default colors, which is just fun. You know, so much of pixel art, people want to go for the most like hyper rendered, shiny style. But I think there is also some fun in stripping it back a little more, like how Undertale 1 looks, and just sort of having things look a little rough around the edges, you know? I like how that looks. It's like, I like how early Minecraft looks as well, sort of pre, the texture update. I do also like the texture update, though, you know, it's just a lot of fun stuff. Yeah. Then from there I got a bunch of hand-me-downs from my, like, brother and sister. I live in a pretty big family, which is great, because it means I get free stuff like this. Like, wouldn't you want this? I have no idea who got this. It's called You Can Do a Graphic Novel, and I just like it for the kind of amateur, strange art that's inside. This one almost kind of reminds me of, like, Dr. Katz or Home Movies. Um, that's fun. It's just like, yeah, I can see some kid getting excited by this maybe in the past. I don't know how relevant it is today with the advent of the internet, but yeah, just a lot of fun, cool drawings inside. Oh, is this like, okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, wait, what was that one? There's a bird on a beach. Yes! Rock and roll. Okay. Then Hyperbole and a Half. This was my older sister's. It's a book by some comic author. They were like the one who drew them with the paintbrush, and it says something like, "Can I have cheeseburger? We have all your tanks," or whatever. I don't know. Early internet bullshit, okay? I read through it when I was younger. I remember I used to pronounce it hyperbole and a half when I read it. Just really embarrassing shit. This one summer, also just a really cute one that I read when I was younger about these two friends that go away on a summer holiday. I read it again recently in the park by my house, and it is just a lovely, cozy summertime read. Lots of fun stuff. And this Sheets, I just like this lady's design. She wears very big t-shirts, which is fun because I do that a lot, and I got blonde hair. It's about some sort of ghost. This was my younger brother's thing. It's definitely for younger audiences. By the time I got to read this, I was sort of like, meh. Or no, not meh. I remember really enjoying it, but you know, younger audiences. Then this is one I got by ordering it online, but I've also seen it in a store or two since, which is awesome. It's from Frog Farm, and it is Harrison Wyrick's Orbs. The work of... Ooh! It came with this. I guess I left it inside. Good on me. It's like all risograph printed, which gives it like this unique kind of transparent vibe. It's out of like 300 printed, so it's pretty exclusive, I guess. But yeah, Harrison Wyrick is one of my favorite authors ever. It's got this very sort of, it reminds me of something that like an awesome 12-year-old boy would like doodle during class. And I love it for that. It sort of has this very stream of consciousness style of writing that really appeals to me, and it got me back into drawing some comics just for myself. I used to draw them a lot. Now I just draw them in my little diary for fun, and this is what got me back into that. The outlines are very thin, so apologies for how it's showing up here. But I really loved this when I read it. I should read it again. Harrison Wyrick's Orbs, work of Harrison and Parker Online, has been very important to my artistic journey. Yes. What else? Yeah, so sticking with the authors I follow online theme, there's Crime Hot, which is by Alec Robbins, who did Mr. Boop or whatever, the one where like Betty Boop is, Mr. Boop, the one where Betty Boop is his wife, which is fun. Silver Sprocket publishing house, really great stuff. I'm a big fan of the things that they publish. There's a lot of stuff that I want to read. It's under comedy, erotica, and crime, which is, there's also a quote on here from Vera Drew, who did The People's Joker, which like, that's a movie that I worked on, and it's one of my favorite movies as well. And yeah, it's just a sort of very fun read, very topical. I probably should not show these pages. There's a lot of, like, be warned, this is not safe for work shit. There is dick, balls, breast, vagina, whatnot. Excuse me. But yeah, it's a very interesting, fun read. They said it was sort of like a bit of a, I think they're quoted in there somewhere saying like they wanted to do like a One Piece meets Looney Tunes meets... Oh yeah, so there you go. There's like Garfield with a huge dick. You get... It's sort of what you expect. It's fun and sort of smutty in an interesting and comical way. It's never outright like sexy. It's sort of cartoonish sex scenes, but a fun time nonetheless. Sticking with a similar theme to that is The Pervert. You're seeing like a crazy fucked up side to me. I just showed you my cool Looney Tunes smut comic, and now I'm showing you The Pervert. This is by Remy Boydell, who does a lot of books around like sort of trans characters, which is really cool. Also like furry stuff. This one unfortunately came to me water damaged, which is excuse me. Yeah, it came to me pretty water damaged, which is a shame. But you know, with these more independent works, I'm sure they don't really have the best warehouses. I don't know. And the theme is all the book is all done in watercolor, so it kind of fits with it. It's about this sort of sex worker who boy modes while doing sex work. And yeah, there's just a lot of... I really enjoyed it when I read it. It meant a lot to me while reading it, because it was a time when I wasn't seeing much transgender representation. And I ordered this one online, and it really meant a lot to me. By the same person is 920 London, which is, I think, their more famous work, I believe. I think I got into them through like an Apple Music recommendation, really. Like there was a little EP to go along with this that's supposedly made by her. What is her name? I forget. But this one, much more detailed and fun and interesting art, and sort of very expressive and beautiful. I love the way characters will sort of break out of panels, I guess. I'm trying to find an example of that, but yeah, just the paneling in here in specific is beautiful. It's set in England, which is fun. I've got a lot of family up there, so I visit. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Really beautiful. And, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I think I definitely prefer the story in Pervert. This one is very kind of episodic in nature almost. It's very slice of life. There's not a ton that happens, whereas Pervert has more of a cohesive arc, I believe. But I definitely prefer the art in this one, and they're both obviously very valuable in their own right. I love these books. You can ask me either day which I prefer. I can like just pick this up and read it real quick. I think it's thinner as well than The Pervert, which is also part of why there's less of a story. Yes, it's thinner, if you can see. Anyway. Yeah. What else? Oh yeah, the goods. The goods. I believe these are the last ones I have to show. I got Mega Hex by Simon Hanselman. Let me take a sip of my iced coffee. Yes. I got this one very recently, and it really put me on to Simon's work. It's sort of a book about these degenerates, these freakazoids that are like addicted to weed. Why is her nose like that there? Sorry. This is like an earlier issue, so there's some weird inconsistencies. Maybe there was a reason for that. But, yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart. I do also own another copy of this, the last book that's been released in the canon, but I am lending it to a friend, so I don't have it here. But yeah, I love Mega Hex, and Megan Mogg in general. Yeah, but definitely not for the faint of heart. Some very edgy, strange, gross out jokes. And I definitely don't agree with all of Simon Hanselman's opinions necessarily. but he's also the type to sort of explore ideas and things throughout his work, which is, I don't know, like that he might not necessarily agree with. I really like these books, and I like the interactions of characters between them, even though they're very mean to each other. Usually I don't like mean characters, but he's just so well written that, yeah. From there, I also got, this one, funny story, had like a layover. Basically what happened was one of my flights was delayed flying home from visiting my girlfriend, and I got stuck in England, which I luckily had an aunt there that I could stay with. And she lives near a comic book shop where I got this. This was the last copy of Tedward by Josh Pettinger, who's on a podcast with Simon Hanselman, the previous author there. They run a podcast called Manga Chat that I listen to a lot. And then I saw this there, and I was like, oh, it's sad I got delayed. I'm stuck here. I couldn't go to my friend's birthday party because of my flight being delayed, but I got this cool comic out of it. Like, I found it, and I was like, I gotta get something out of this. So I got this, Tedward, and it is a really beautiful, or I don't want to call it beautiful, this drawing's beautiful, but it's in a similar vein to Megan Mogg, where it's sort of strange, gross out, not necessarily gross out, but like, for instance, the first chapter in here is about Tedward. The idea is that Tedward's kind of like an old-fashioned kind of guy. He's like a weird, nervous, conservative, like almost like a youthful Hank Hill type. There's one where he's going on a date with a woman, and he asks her to like change into something, he brought some clothes of his mother's for the woman to wear, because he didn't want her to wear something like that. Just he's sort of a creep weirdo, and that's why it's fun to see gross stuff happen to him. Like, for instance, in this first comic, it's his job. He works at this like orgy house, where all the people at this masked orgy thing, they hate getting semen on them, so he pressure washes it off of them, and that's his job. And he just kind of falls into it, and he hates it. That's just for one issue. So it's sort of surrealist, strange, dumb, gross stuff. And something I really like about independent comics like this is they get to be very specific, like very specifically grotesque in a way that like TV just can't be, because TV wants to appeal to a wider audience and has more censorship and everything. And yeah, so I like independent comics for that. Like, in the world of independent comics, this stuff is probably like light shit. Like, you get some gross, weirdo, freak stuff. Especially when you go back in time. But anyway. And then finally, these fucks. I am a big Tim and Eric fan. This was a birthday gift from my mom. Which is Tim and Eric Zone Theory, where it's sort of like it's not really a comic, but it's a sort of it's got a lot of cool graphics. Dr. Jason Britt. It's basically like one long Tim and Eric sketch in the form of a book, taking the sort of, it's like a parody of like Scientology and like self-help literature, but it sort of just has all of this bizarre, outlandish stuff. It's, these two boys, it's just another classic venture from them. They have stuff like read this part in the mirror, and just dumb shit. And like, they have great like excerpts from like crowd work that they've done, where they'll say stuff like the crowd laughs for like 4 minutes straight or something, or they'll say like the crowd spontaneously erupts in a 30-minute round of applause, giving Tim and Eric the time to like leave for the bathroom. I don't know. Dumb. If you know these boys, you know what you're getting with this. And I know these boys, and I love what I got with this. I'm still currently reading it, actually. It is, I don't think I can read it for long periods at a time and sort of pick it up read a couple pages, put it down. It's yeah, and their eyes and stuff, they're like shiny. They're like glossy, embossed, or whatever you call it, which adds to the vibe, you know. Anyway, this was my Bee Jump Up comic book collection. I hope you enjoyed it.